Hi, I'm Megan Mellon, and this is A Day in the Life. We give you a behind-the-scenes look at people who have some pretty interesting jobs. We're not saying that you don't have an interesting job, but these are just a little bit cooler. The historic Hanover Theatre is in the middle of rehearsing the Charles Dickens classic tale, A Christmas Carol. Here is our backstage pass.
Remember what has passed between us. Remember me, Ebenezer! Remember me!
In December, the Hanover Theatre for the Performing Arts runs their own production of the Charles Dickens classic tale, A Christmas Carol.
The show we do every year, we rehearse it for 3 weeks off-site, so we find a space nearby in the neighborhood, and that's a space about the size of the stage, and so we'll rehearse it from 2 through 10 on weekdays and 10 to 6 on weekends, so a full 40-hour week for just 2.5 weeks. And then once we get into the theater, we've only got 3 days to put all the technical stuff together. So what we're seeing today is incorporating sets and lights and costumes and sound and special effects, fog, all that sort of thing. Everything else we do is a Broadway tour. It comes in, it's here for 5 shows or 8 shows, and it's back in the truck and on the road again. This is the one thing that we create here every year, and it's very personal to me. It's something that I love. It's just my history as a nonprofit producing theater guy, so to be able to do this, it's a great artistic outlet for me, and it's, I think, something that we as a theater can kind of be proud of. This is something that we created, and it is actually on a greater scale and certainly on a par quality-wise with the tours, the Broadway shows that come through.
Troy C. Bowles is not only the director of the Hanover Theatre's production of A Christmas Carol, but he is also the executive director of the historic theater that dates back to 1904. It began as a burlesque house and transitioned from a silent film theater in 1912 to a showcase cinema until it closed in 1998. In 2002, the last owner of the theater, National Amusements, donated the theater to the Worcester Center for the Performing Arts. In 2008, the Hanover Theatre for the Performing Arts opened for business.
Okay, let's take it from Touch My Robe, please, and moving on whenever you're ready.
The day our cameras showed up, it was the final dress rehearsal. The cast was performing the play twice, working from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Before everything got going, Troy gave us a backstage tour.
Well, here we are on stage, and where nobody gets to go is the fun part. It's backstage, and much of it's really still on stage. I mean, the concept behind the show is it's a story that's told by the actors as cast members. They are storytellers. They tell the story that Dickens tells. So the same set pieces that change around from one thing to another are moved by the actors. So this, the cast can move things around so they can see the exterior of Scrooge's house here becomes the interior of Scrooge's house on the backside. And the Scrooge and Marley window for the counting house spins around as well. Everything, most things play 2 sides, and it all moves very easily so that the cast does it while they move around. That said, we do have a full crew backstage, and there's a lot that happens there as well. Let's take a look backstage. Our stage manager sits here. She's got a console here that'll put her in touch with all of the crew and assistant stage managers and production assistants, all of whom are wearing wireless headsets, so she can talk with all them throughout, as well as to the people who are running lights and sound and rigging. And she can see the show here on a monitor, which has infrared capability, so that when it goes dark on stage, she can still see what's going on the monitor. And she's got cue light capability here too, so that she'll turn cue lights on and off on the pin rail over here to show, to give people, if you take a look and turn around, you can see the colored lights up there on the rail. So she'll use blue off is a standby and red off is a go. And these, the rigging lines, many of these move during the show. Every single one of these lines controls something that's on the stage, and so this is they're all labeled Fezziwig's Hangar. So when we go to Fezziwig's scene in the show, stagehand will just come back here, and by unlocking it and pulling on this rope, weights go up on this side, scenery comes down on that side. Stage manager is responsible for making sure that they call the cue and hit the cue lights in such a way that nobody's underneath it when it comes in, that kind of a thing. But a lot of the magic is not so much magic when you get back here.
During rehearsals and shows, there are usually 10 workers backstage, 4 crew members, 4 assistant stage managers and production assistants, and 2 crew members who work on wardrobe. Much of the setup work is done before rehearsal begins.
You can look at the prop tables here. Every little piece of table's gridded out in red electrical tape with labels to show what piece goes where, so that when the actor comes off stage and goes back on in a big hurry, they know if they come exactly here, that's where the lantern's going to be, and to know exactly where to take it from every day. It's also easy when you're setting up the show to lay it all out, and you can tell at a glance if something's missing or something's out of place.
One of the most exciting moments in the production is the ghost of Jacob Marley flying in from offset.
We use the same rigging system that Foy uses, that the Peter Pan tour, which was just in here, uses. Marley has a flying rigging harness on. He clips off to a line here, and there's 2 crew people who operate that every step of the way. So they pull on this rope to raise him up. 2 feet of rope equals 1 foot of lift, so it helps to offset his weight, so that one guy here can pick him up easily, and this rope will take him up and down, and these set of ropes will bring him across the stage. And so it takes a lot of practice to do this, but after a bunch of practice it can be pretty magical, and the lighting is such that you don't even really see the wire that holds him up, and it can be really effective, I think. You know, nobody believes when they go to see a Peter Pan tour that Peter Pan's flying. They all believe that there's rigging, there's a wire there somewhere, but you manage to suspend that disbelief, and it really does work. It really is amazing how much it really works. We can also look at, let's see. There's a lot of other effects and things in the show. There's 4 different kinds of fog in this production of Christmas Carol, which seems excessive at the face of it, but when you really get down to it, you need all those pieces. They all have different effects. There's a low-lying ground fog, so when you're in the graveyard or at the Marley's grave at the top of the show, there's a dry ice fog. So this is a machine that fills with near boiling water, and you put dry ice in it, and they control it from the lighting console, so when a certain cue comes up, it sends an electrical signal back here, which turns on a fan and pumps boiling water over the dry ice and then pumps the fog out through a hose onto the stage. We have a 3-person sound department. Every show, every single actor on stage, all 31 performers wear a wireless microphone. Fresh batteries every single performance. They come in, and we have a sound person who sits right here during the show, mics everybody up, checks everybody's microphone before the show, checks them again at intermission, takes them all back after the show, and re-batteries them up for the next performance. Just the microphones alone, it's a huge task. It's a lot of people on stage and a lot of microphones. The soundboard is all digitally programmed, so they'll hop from one cue to the next to control which microphones are on, depending on who's on stage at the time. This is our star dressing room, so the lead performer in the show, Dale Place, who plays Ebenezer Scrooge, sits here. It's our only 1-person dressing room, but this is the room we use for everyone from Bernadette Peters to Aretha Franklin to Jackson Browne when they come. But it's got a little private bathroom around the corner and lights and mirrors, the same things you would expect anywhere you go, but it's the closest to the stage, and that's how you decide where the star goes. This is the men's dressing room for this show. It's a 31-person cast, about half men and half women, so about 15 men share this space, and each half of this room is about the same size, and everybody's got their own 3-foot section of countertop and their own mirror and lights, and there's communal sinks and bathrooms and showers, and they spend a lot of time in this space. They spend a lot of time before every show and between cues up here getting ready. Costume racks here, everybody's got their own. Our costume designers and our wardrobe crew set everybody up with their own sort of section of costume rack.
Many cast members play multiple roles, so there are plenty of people that have full wardrobe changes during the show.
Peter Adams plays our Ghost of Christmas Present, also plays a couple of specific pieces elsewhere in the show. Some of the women, too, play a whole variety of things, but our Marley also plays Old Joe late in the show and also has a street character that he plays in between the other scenes. And I think it may be that there are only 1 or 2 of them that only have a single role. Ebenezer Scrooge is Ebenezer Scrooge throughout. I'm not sure that's... I'm not sure that's true for anybody else, maybe one or two, but almost everyone has changes. There's 200 costumes in the show and 31 actors, so on average, I guess it's about 6 different looks per person.
There is another star of the show. That is the Wurlitzer pipe organ that underscores the whole show. Don Phipps donated the organ to the Hanover Theater as a legacy project after a few decades of hard work and labor. Although it requires continual tuning, there is a group of 6 men that donate their time to taking care of it.
Timothy Evans is a musical director and organist, plays pre-show and plays most of the show, uses the organ to underscore the cast. The console is all digital, but and every key on the console sends a signal up here and lets the air flow to one of these pipes. But at the heart of it, it's still centuries-old technology. You can see the piping here. There's a big blower in the basement that sends pressurized air up from the basement up to this chamber, and the sound is ultimately made by air blowing past the opening in any one of these pipes. There's 2,400 pipes in the organ. There's this chamber and one just like it on the other side of the theater. I had never worked with one of these before, but it's kind of fascinating. The sound is always full volume in here. The way you control the volume is these, you can see what's called the shutter wall over there. Each of those hardwood slats will tilt on an angle so that when you hit the volume pedal on the organ, the slats tilt, and so the further they open, the more sound it allows to get through the drape into the theater. So again, it's always full volume in here. It's just how much you allow it to open up the space between here and there. Being a theater organ, it's got all these percussive capabilities as well as the pipes, so you'll hit a key on the organ and make these work. There's a glockenspiel here, a xylophone there. There's 30 or 40 different percussive instrument types, including some drums and things on the other chamber. This is the sort of pipes that you might find in a church organ. The wood pipes are some of the deeper sounds that produce a deeper sound. So some of the lower notes in the organ are these big ones.
One of the first things that grabs you, besides the beautiful architecture, is the Christmas Carol set.
We contracted a staff of designers. A scenic designer named Jim Kronzer works out of Washington, D.C. We found him by a reference and we worked with him over a period of several months. He designed the set and drafted it up for us. We contracted with a shop in Boston to build it, and it took them about 3 months of construction, and then every year it takes us about 3 days to load it in. So no, it's ours, and it's designed specifically for this production, specifically for this theater. This is another piece that people are interested in sometimes. When Scrooge sees Marley's face in the door knocker. Let me open this up from the back and you'll see it just looks like a door knocker from the front, but an actor will push his face into this from the back and move his face. And when the light is a really steep angle coming down on this, it's very spooky. You know, it looks like it just sort of pops out of nowhere, and the face disappears and it's back to a door. Everybody always wonders how we do that. It couldn't be simpler. It's a piece of spandex-like fabric, but it's one of the most effective things in the show, maybe because it's one of the simplest, really.
Some people watching a production like this may not realize how hard it is to get everything to come together. There is a lot of work that goes into the performance you see on stage.
It's just a lot of things that every little piece of it has to be right. You might do a scene change where there's 50 things that have to happen and 10 people that have to do those 50 things, and all those things have to happen in the right order, and you do them 6 times in a row in rehearsal, and the stage manager is in charge of calling when this can happen to make sure that nobody gets hit in the head by a flying piece of scenery. It's that stuff that you have to have the patience to do it slowly and carefully. So that you're ready to do it quickly and silently.
The actors for A Christmas Carol, like Marlborough resident Samantha Kelville, practice twice in one day. The first rehearsal of the day begins at 2 p.m.
You first come in and you usually sign in and get your mic, and then you go upstairs and you gotta put your costume on, put your makeup on, and then they call places and you go to your places.
While they wait to be called out, the actors must run their lines. There are also plenty of stops during the rehearsals, which can throw them off their rhythm.
It's hard sometimes because I know yesterday we did a ton of stops and literally it was 3 hours until I went on the stage and then I left. So like you're sitting backstage, it's really hot and it's just like, it's really tiring.
Since the first 3 weeks of rehearsals are run off-site, it is great for Troy and his cast to get into Hanover Theater and get to work with the props and lights.
This is where the magic happens. I mean, we've worked it in a rehearsal hall to the point where the actors have the show. Pat, it sounds wonderful, the characters are all there, the story's there, but it really comes to life when you put it on the stage. It changes the timing of things when they have an actual door instead of miming a door in the rehearsal hall, things like that. And the lights focus you in on what we want you to focus on, as opposed to the whole stage. You can kind of control what the audience pays most attention to, and it's, I guess that's the best way to say it. I feel like that's when all the pieces come together.
It's kind of hard because it's like, oh, there is actually a door there. Now I have to touch this knob. Like, it's not where I thought it was. So, I don't know. It's actually easier. It's hard at first, but then it's like, okay, now I know where everything is. I can know that I'm doing it right and not looking stupid doing it.
Eric McGowan is also an actor in the production. He has multiple parts, which includes playing the bigger-than-life role of the ghost of Christmas yet to come.
There are the stilts that go on first, and then there's kind of a big hoop skirt that goes on over those, and then there's almost a backpack that has all the arms and the head, and the arms are these almost like poles that go up the arm, and there's like a little handle to grip onto, and on this arm there's like a trigger for the point. So it's really cool.
I know these men, spare, but of whom do they speak?
Between the show itself, the pipe organ, the lighting and production crew, there is a lot of work that goes into the performance. You won't hear anyone complain about anything. They all love what they do.
I just like getting to run the show like in costume and with everything, the organ and the theater, because it makes you think like, wow, this is real. Like, I'm really here and it's a really good experience.
It can be a lot of work, but we have, really great director, really great crew, and I think we all like each other, more or less, so it's really a lot of fun.
Being able to give feedback to the cast, notes, period. Watching the run and then being able to spend time after talking to the cast about, here's how this works, tweak this a little bit that way, tweak this the other way. And I think that's really a great dialogue. They say, hey, I feel like this could have worked better if I had done that. That's just the opportunity to talk about it with them. They have a whole different experience than I have during the show. They're up there on stage doing it, I'm here in the audience watching it. And those two things come together at that time to make the best product.
Showcase Cinemas ran the Hanover Theater as a 4-screen movie theater for 21 years. It's good to see it back to what it was always meant to be. If you have any ideas for future episodes of our show, feel free to contact us by email. And to find out more about WMCT, you can visit us on the web. I'm Megan Mellon. We'll see you next time.